it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he, and I am back after a 2-week hiatus where I just had so much stuff going on, and yeah, bro, had to do a film premiere and some other stuff, and had to go back up to New York City, and man, it was good to see some folks and just to kind of feel like I was going home, even though I'm actually born and raised in Charlotte. So it was a good time. And, you know, Mike, thanks for coming out. Appreciate that. Appreciate the support.
Great to be there.
Yes, sir. So we have Mr. Michael Berry here, and we have Mr. CJ Jones. How you doing?
Hey.
Hey. We got Lori Parker. How you doing, Lori?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good now. I'm good now, baby. Let's take this off the air. And then last but not least, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jermaine Parker, the franchise. How you doing, sir?
Am I the one who don't see him?
He's
You
coming.
don't. There he is. Let's try it again.
I'm here.
There we go. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Doing good.
Good. Good to see
Hey,
you.
family.
Yeah, so I was just telling everybody that, you know, we're going to get into it. I know we've been out for the last 2 weeks. Wanted to talk about Derek Chauvin actually had been convicted of the murder of George Floyd, and his sentencing was last week, and he was sentenced to 22 and a half years. There's a lot of folks out there that are outraged to say that that's not enough. But let's talk about that. Is it enough? What did you guys think about the sentencing?
Well, let me be the first to jump in this pile of poo-poo. Is it enough? I'm on the fence with that. And the reason why is because some people would say, well, something is better than nothing. When it comes to police being held accountable, former police being held accountable after they've been put on administrative leave and they can still have their pensions and all this other stuff. This is a fraction, I think, of what could take place. And hopefully we'll see a lot more of it because of this. But do I think he deserved more? Definitely. But 22 years, and that's if, you know, you're taking under consideration if he's, you know, going to try to get his sentence reduced for good behavior and all these other things and stuff like that. That's why people say 22 years ain't crap, because you're really saying 8, maybe 10 years, and that's if that happens because of his behavior or his rehabilitation or his sorrowfulness and all this other stuff. So I get that, but something is better than nothing at this point.
Okay. What do you think, Mike?
What do I think? Is it enough? Definitely not. I think that their thinking was, it's more than we've given you before. In the past, they just walk, so be happy with the 22 years.
Yeah, you know, there's two things that really come into play. And, you know, the folks that say it's not enough, here's my question. How much is enough? If you say, Brian, well, life,
Actual life.
then
Actual life.
then he would be getting sentenced second degree. He got sentenced second degree murder.
Hmm.
And it was what they considered unintentional, meaning that even though he killed him, they can't necessarily say he intended to kill him, but his actions still led to his death.
Because it's very hard to prove intention.
Correct. That's why that's left
So
first
I
degree
mean,
murder.
that's just a play on words.
It
Really.
well, it is semantics in a way, but in some ways it's not, because to prove intent, you have to basically say, I walked into a store with a gun and had an idea that I was going to blow somebody's brains out.
Right.
Intent can be determined, and that's first
Well,
degree.
well, that's premeditated.
Right.
But I mean, okay, say for
So
instance,
premeditated.
all right,
I intend to
right,
do bodily
okay,
harm.
right. So that's the obvious one. The one that's hard to prove is what's in your heart. You get it? It's kind of like what's going on with the racism right now. You're really a racist, but you're going to say and play the role as if you don't have a problem. So it's really hard to prove that you are a racist, whether you're black or white or whatever. So, and in this case, it's pretty much the same thing. He probably have went his whole entire career, you know, just relaxing on the fact of qualified immunity so he can go out here and hurt and kill. So every day he woke up with the intent on hurting, to killing, to making his Aryan race proud, his supporters and all of that. But when it comes down to him being held accountable at the law, oh, I didn't mean to kill him. It's kind of like whenever I play with words, whenever I'm instructing firearms, and I tell them the intention is not to kill. Death only occurs, or if you happen to shoot your target or shoot an individual, and death happens to occur, it doesn't necessarily make you a killer. You just stop the threat, but you are not a killer, and you did not shoot to kill. So that's how I look at his intention. Yeah, he didn't intend on killing him, but in reality, yeah, he did.
Right. Well, it wasn't as blatant as that. Go ahead, Jermaine.
Yeah. Let me jump in. So your question is it enough? The simple answer is no.
No.
It's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And not without regard to us saying, is it the right time and there's no president, stuff like that. Well, actually, there is, because we happen to have people that kill people all the time. And so the ones that aren't killed by the police response, that do serve, that do make it to a court of law, they serve a sentence. And so, like I say, you know, so is there a difference between first degree and second degree? Yeah. And this whole thing about intent and stuff, that actually plays into second degree. And, you know, was it a weapon? You know, what, you know, there are a lot of factors that go in and stuff. But let's be honest, what we're asking is, was the criminal justice system fair? And the answer is no, it wasn't, because we have seen people who have killed people second degree get life in prison, get 40 years, get 30 years, get harsher sentences and stuff. So in comparison to the justice system that we all know and love,
yeah, but
it wasn't fair.
Only thing I will interject in that, Jermaine, is that's true, but each state has its own sentencing guidelines. That's
absolutely. So every state's got their own thing and stuff. And I'll say this for me, CJ, when we're talking about shooting stuff, you know, so what I've always been taught is that a gun is a deadly weapon. We shoot center of mass. What's the center of mass? Those are your major organs and stuff. Anytime you pull the trigger with the thought that they say words like stop, but anybody with their merit will tell you kill. You want to stop the threat. Well, how do you stop the threat if you're shooting center of mass? You're gonna kill them.
You're gonna kill them.
Yeah. That's, I mean,
Absolutely.
so like when I go into the kitchen, I use a frying pan. I intend to cook dinner. When I pull out a gun, I intend to kill people.
Right. When I take off my belt, I intend to beat your ass.
I whoop your ass, right?
That's what I used to tell the kids. If I take my belt off, I'm gonna whoop your ass.
And so we can derive intent through action, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So,
and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, so we can derive it through action and stuff. I know, if I get up at a meal and I walk outside, I intended not to pay the bill.
Right.
I can say when you catch me and stuff, oh, I was going to the car or whatever excuse I got and stuff, but we know what I was doing.
Right.
And so we know what this dude is doing. And like I said, we had talked about a couple of episodes ago. We've been on 2-week hiatus and stuff, and I've been working on my tan and all that kind of crazy shit.
Good.
But thank you. I'm trying to put the golden back in my brown. But we talked about this episodes ago, and one of the things that I said episodes ago about this cat is that no, I don't really think he intended to kill him because he had done this before. And in fact, he had done it a longer clip before, the same thing. George Floyd just turned out to be the guy that couldn't take it, and so, because he'd done it before. So do I think that he woke up with the intent to kill? No, intimidate, hurt, whatever stuff, I'm the man, all that kind of stuff. Hey, he didn't intend to kill him. I don't think, not in front of people. That's the kind of stuff not in front of people, not in that situation. And I think that was the thing that they kind of wrestled with too. And it also, I think, is what kind of played into his sentencing. So I had heard 15 years. That was what I heard, is that he'd probably do 15 years.
Well, and to go off of that, the reason is because for someone with no criminal record in the state of Minnesota now, got to remember this. Every state has their own. Some do capital, some don't. So you got to look at it from the state. But for somebody that has no criminal record, he could have gone from 10 years and 8 months up until 15. And the middle of that is about 12 and a half, which is where most figured he would probably fall. So, and the maximum was closer to 30 years, which is what prosecution asked for. It could have been more than that. But if you would have tried to stretch it out over 30 years, it'd make you feel good, but it's going to come up on appeal and get overturned. So no judge wants to sit there, hand out a sentence, knowing that somebody's just going to come right back behind them and overturn it because they're going to say that was too hard. Thank you.
Bill.
I definitely don't want to go there today, boy. My Facebook, man, it's like if you're a female, you feel this way about it. If you were, unless you're Felicia Rashad.
Yeah, we ain't got time.
Unless
time.
you Felicia, my wife.
We ain't got no time to go into that.
My nieces.
they
good.
We gonna have to do that one on the next show when I can just let us go loose for an hour and a half if we have to, because but you're right, Jermaine. Historically, it does seem like if the person is darker, the darker they are, then them sentencing guidelines seem to kind of waver a little bit. And I understand that point. I guess what my point is that if you just look at it under Minnesota state law, he really was facing about 12 to 15 years. The judge sat there and said there were mitigating factors. You did this in front of minors. You did this with no regard. You did this in a position of authority and where you're supposed to have the public trust, and you defiled all of that. So I'm going to give you even more mitigating factors on top of that. The other problem with this, okay, do I think he got enough? No. Do I think they sentenced him according to their guidelines? Yes, I do. Do I think that that's fair? No. Do I think that that's his fault because that's the current guidelines? No. Not at all. They sentenced him based on the current law. The problem is the law. That's the problem. The problem is the system that these police officers go in under every day to believe that if you sit there and you step out of line with them, even for a small minute, they have the implicit authority to beat the living hell out of you.
Right.
That's the problem. The problem is the system. There's another Derek Chauvin that's on that force. There's another Derek Chauvin on a whole lot of forces.
Oh yeah.
Okay. He's just a symptom. He ain't the feature.
That's true.
There's Derek Chauvins all over the place.
Yeah.
The problem is the way the system has been constructed to give assholes like him the ability to only get 22 years.
You know what? So I will say this, and I get what you're saying and stuff, but I think we're looking at the wrong end of the system when you're talking about his power and stuff. When it comes to sentencing and stuff, I'm actually, so again, George Floyd wasn't a family member and stuff, and so for their family, I'm sure there's no amount of time that would be appropriate, right?
Because it won't bring him back. Right.
It won't bring him back, and so just like the fact that he doesn't show remorse, that his mom is so upset, but no remorse for
what a piece of crap mom.
But all murderers. There's not too many murderers whose mama gave up on them. All of them are the same. You can look at history.
No, but she could have been a little bit more as a mother. Somebody else's son
wasn't her son. Right. Wasn't her son. Her son's in front of her. You can't do nothing about your son. That's in the past. Sorry about that.
Then you're selfish.
Don't know. Yeah, don't know what happened. Don't know what happened to that dude. But let's talk about my guy.
One mom should be able to empathize with another mom, even if that means. That doesn't mean that you don't love your son, but realize that he didn't have to kill somebody.
So my point is that we say, well, the sentencing laws aren't harsh enough. Let me remind you that when we talk about laws and stuff, and we talk about making them harsher and stuff, we're only talking about making it harder for Black people. Mm-hmm. Those hard laws that you're talking about. So if you said, no, you know what, Minnesota needs to change their laws, Minnesota be like, you know what, right, we should change their laws. And the next Negro is going to be facing the election chair.
Because we need to really crack down on this, because what's happening now is that we have a epidemic that's going on now. See, whenever we're on the receiving end of, Lady Justice, then that's when they really need to really crack down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what they're finding out now, or what's happening now, is that they're starting to get tripped up and trapped on their own laws. And even still, to us, it still looks unfair. But at least they starting to get tripped up now. These few bad apples that we talked about before are starting to look like bushels now.
Yeah.
To the point to where I believe it's in the state of Delaware, or it's a northern state. They're actually wanting to do away. They want to create a law that protects the police officers from being recorded outside of their body cams. Now, why is that? Why all of a sudden you want to introduce a law that says, the police officer, the public servant, can't be recorded in the execution of his duties?
But that's because I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
I was just going to say, because we want to protect our police officers, and we really care about them, and we want to we want to make sure they're safe and stuff. Because if anything would ever happen to police officers, let's say that an angry mob got together and decided to take over a federal building and stuff, we want to make sure that there was proper care for our officers and stuff, especially those who could not return back to work, two had committed suicide, one had been killed in an attack. And so we can't, no, I'm fucking with you. No, they don't care. But that's the answer, right? Like, CJ, I saw CJ put out a Facebook post, and not that I read Facebook, but there was a Facebook post that CJ put out, and it was talking about how we got here. Which actually is a segment that you can go look on Google from It's killing me. I know her name. I really do have to have notes and stuff when I bring stuff on the show. But you Google how we got here. It's a very brilliant comedy segment about a very brilliant black female. And so how do we get here? And CJ's post really talks about how policing came about. You know, its origins in slave patrols and stuff. And I am not trying to get critical about this race theory, but the basic thing is that the laws were always made towards us to keep us in line, not to keep them in line. So you don't see a lot of fishermen get caught up in their own nets. And so every once in a while they'll trip and fall over and stuff, but you know, those nets are not meant to cast out and catch them. It's meant to catch us. So anything that they do, whether it be what you're talking about, CJ, where they want to protect police officers, you know, from people videotaping them, because we know how many people got killed last year as they were being videotaped by the public.
Yeah.
Right. And with that, I'm sorry, B.
No, go ahead.
Good. No, I was just going to say what I share with my wife quite often whenever people begin to question why is this person able to get away, not only do we keep each other reminded that the laws vary from state to state according to these criminal justice systems, but the overall base of law is to protect, and I'm going to say it, so get over it, audience, it is the truth, white women and children.
Oh no, that's critical race theory.
The overall base of protecting the white female and her children. Period. That's it. End of lesson.
I like white women.
You know what? So you know, I'll be a little bit more broader with that and saying that so laws are subjective, right? And laws have changed over the years and decades and centuries. And laws are an agreed upon social contract, right? Like these are things that we don't do, and if you do these things, there are consequences for you and stuff. You know, like I got laws in my house, right, for my kids and stuff. And I'm a prosecutor, cop, judge, jury, all that kind of stuff in my house.
Executioner.
No, I haven't killed them yet. No, I ain't kill them. I mean, they're cute. I know that's what saves us. I think God does that. God makes your children cute to you, so you won't eat them or kill them. It doesn't happen for every animal, but you know, He looked out for humans. And so I'm not gonna. And believe me, I'm the guy that says, "Oh, all this shit is in the past and it's racist," right? And so. What I will say is this: when you look at our laws, the laws of the United States and stuff, when you look at amendments to the Constitution, and I'm looking at you, 13th Amendment, which didn't actually get rid of slavery so much as it transfixed slavery into another form. It said all slaves, there'll be no slavery, except if you break a law. If you break a law, then you can be enslaved, basically. And that's how change. You know, so you know, in we can get into this later and stuff, but this really does go back to the Chauvin thing, is that from the 13th Amendment that really allowed slavery to be transformed into policing. And so what's the first law that they put out there for black people? Well, vagrancy. They said if you don't have a job, you can be arrested.
Yep.
What had just happened to black people? Well, we had just really taken away their jobs. So everybody didn't have a skill. Or who wasn't lucky enough to sharecrop and stuff. If you didn't have a job, that's cool, because about 800,000 black men were put into the prison system and loaned out as free labor. Now, it wasn't slavery, but it was free labor. Yeah. And thank you, 13th Amendment, for making that possible. Those laws that we talk about for sentencing and stuff are based on the same ideals. They were not, you know, like the 13th Amendment didn't have anything to do with white people, nothing at all. It was about slavery, right? And so, and there'll be some people out there like, well, they were white slaves. Well, they were stupid. Okay, if they got caught up in it, they're stupid. It's like that girl that's in your high school that's forsaken all her white family to date black dudes, and they trampled on over her. You're just stupid. But for everybody else, the 13th Amendment and the laws of the land are in place, more to CJ's point, for the people who wrote them. And so, again, I hesitate at saying, hey, we need stricter laws. Well, they're pretty strict right now. But believe me, because they're black dudes that have done life sentences for things like stealing $2 worth of stuff. And
or possession of drugs.
Possession of drugs. The war
I know
on drugs,
people that have the third time habitual felon end up getting a mandatory 25 years.
Yeah. Those are laws, right? Those are the laws,
Right.
because, and so I hesitate as a black man to be like to give into, like, you know, basically we're on crime bill territory and 3-strike territory. We're like, we need to change the laws because you're thinking about this dude to get sentenced right, but he did get sentenced right according to their laws and stuff. And if we were to change the laws, he's already sentenced. They're not gonna go back and re-sentence him.
Right.
But the next time they get an opportunity, they go swing that hammer. Stop giving weight to the hammer so it swings harder against black people, because that's who it's for.
Yeah, that's true. And Jermaine, to answer your question, I hope I'm right. Amber Ruffin.
Amber Ruffin, thank you.
How did we get here?
How did we get here?
Yes.
That's I can't take credit for that. That comes to the crack production team that I have in the background.
Thank you, Lori.
yeah, that's Amber Ruffin. And so Amber Ruffin, Michael Harriet, he's a reporter for The Roots and stuff. If you don't follow him on Twitter, I'm telling you right now, go over to Twitter and look and search for Michael Harriet and follow him, because when he says a thread, it is a thread. And some people are about to be read on his threads and stuff. So, you know, two good people. And then, you know what, I don't know, crazy shit like Google. You know, Google stuff and get source your information and stuff. You know, when I talk about stuff on the show and stuff, you can say, well, you know, he's wrong. Well, you can't say he's wrong, but if you want me to, I can source everything that I talk about.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a good thing to do. And, you know, I guess my question about the whole thing about, you know, was it enough? Of course, the easy answer is it's not, and it never will be. And as people of color, we're always going to feel like, well, if he was black, it would have been this. If he was black, it would have been that. And we have to understand, too, though, that we have gone from what CJ said earlier and Michael said earlier, nothing happening, to now something happening. And it's not that we should be satisfied with that. I don't want white people, I don't want y'all to feel like you gave us one and now we can't complain about the next 10 black folks that get killed for no reason at the hands of police. That ain't what we're saying. Now, my question, though, is, do you guys think that with this sentence, it was a pretty, I mean, taking 22 years out of your life and you in your 40s, I mean, you know, that might not have been enough, but I mean, hell, he got to do that time. And you got to remember, he's an ex-cop. It ain't like he can just walk around Gen Pop. This dude, and trust me when I say this, I'm not playing my violin. I feel no sympathy for one day he has to do. But he's going to have to do this time segregated. That's a long time to be segregated.
It is. It's so much time. I actually changed my answer. He did get enough time. Because when we start talking, no, seriously, because as we talked about it, because I can change my mind. Even mid-show, I can change my mind.
Okay.
So mid-show, I changed my mind, and I'm back on the Wendy's train. What we're talking about now. So what I believe that according to the law in his state, he got enough time, because as my brother's alluding to, time is time, and there's not an easy month or year or decade in jail, and so yeah, is it going to bring back George Floyd? Well, nothing was going to bring him back.
Right.
I mean, this is not Hogsworth. This is just a court of law, and so nothing was going to bring him back. Is it complete justice and stuff? You know what? Again, I've changed my mind as I think about it. I said, yeah, sure. Well, why not? Because he got what the law allowed him to get. He didn't get 7 years. You know, he didn't get a 9-year sentence where he was only going to do 4 years of it and stuff.
His lawyer wanted probation.
His lawyer wanted probation. Yeah, they're still hunting for that. They want a new trial and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, given that, honestly, if you can step back from this stuff and go, yeah, he got a good chunk of time. Like, what is it? 22 years. He'll probably serve 15.
Yeah.
15 years for somebody that's in 40s and stuff. He'll come out when it's late 50s and stuff, and people are like, oh, he'll have the rest of his life and stuff. Well, somebody he lives through prison, number one. Number two, when he does come out and stuff, what's he going to do? He's not going back to law enforcement.
Nope.
I mean, what other skills does he have besides choking people out?
Okay.
I'm not sure there's a market for that.
Well,
if you're not going overseas.
Whenever we're talking about, I want to circle back to the point of like what he deserves and what he don't deserve. And Jermaine, rock with me on this one here, because I know you've probably been to a
strip club, yes,
a court martial here or there as well. So
no, I don't have those kind of friends. No, no. But go ahead.
Well, and when people get court-martialed or Article 15, or it's different ways to say it, right? In other words, you go into military court.
Yeah, I got those kind of friends.
One of the things that we consider whenever you are in trouble is what is your rate? In the Navy, we say choose your rate, choose your fate. And all these titles and stuff sound really good until they use your very title to work against you. Okay, so I looked at this as a civilian, and then I looked at it as a military police officer.
Go ahead. I know where you're going.
You got the okay. All right.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
So as a civilian, you know, we kind of on the fence. We're all kind of like, yeah, well, okay, something's better than nothing. You know, me and Mike, you know, we vibing. But if he was in the military and he was a military police officer, they would use his very title to hem him up for the rest of his natural life at Leavenworth. Why? Because they're going to tell you, and this is what I've been hearing all the time of my many, many years active duty in the Navy as a military police officer. You are held to a higher standard. You are the standard. You are the face, not only of yourself, not only of your family, but the very branch. And as a service member of the United States Forces, where, in other words, where Miss Lori is, let's just say you are a tech, an IT in the military, and she did your crime, then we would be like, bad girl, don't do that again. Whereas Officer Jones, oh no, sir. Because just to become a military police officer, you had to rise above everybody else and maintain, and if not go higher. So ignorance is not bliss in your case. We will hold you to the highest punishment
and
available.
CJ, they actually did that, but not to the same degree as the military, because remember, the reason that the judge gave him more than the 12 to 15 was for the very reason that you described.
Yeah,
they said that there were at least two mitigating circumstances. Again, number one, this brave young lady that sat there and filmed this, she was a minor at the time.
Yeah, she was.
As he looked into her camera and gave that ignorant ass smirk, he was doing that in front of children. And not only was she a minor, but she had her little cousin with her.
Yes.
Okay. So that was one. And then the other was the fact that he was a police officer and he betrayed the public trust. So all of that factored into him getting more time. Now, do you guys think, though, that this sentence is going to be any type of deterrent to any cop out there before they say, hey, let me choke this Negro on camera, shoot this Negro in the back, and do all these other things?
No, let me stop you.
Is that going to
Uh,
stop them or make them
Yeah,
even
let me-
pause
You don't
one-
have to
one
complete the
second?
question.
Yeah,
You have to complete the question.
let me
Because
stop.
I
You
can
know,
say, man, please don't let me say Rock Hill. Rock Hill,
Okay.
the two brothers.
I ain't heard this one.
oh, you heard this? Go ahead, CJ.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Oh yes. Oh, you didn't see that on the news. I'm
Six
sorry.
police
You've
officers.
been busy.
Lord.
I
I'm sorry.
I've been a little
apologize. You have
busy.
been
Been a
busy.
little busy.
You've been working really hard and you're doing a lot.
Go
of
ahead,
other
sis.
things.
Go ahead. Go ahead and enlighten my brother. Go ahead.
Congratulations on the opening premiere.
Oh
for
yeah,
Rude Boy.
yeah. Congratulations. But Lori, go ahead. Because I can't give the actual details. I can give him the brush of it.
Yes,
So
they,
basically,
they're. I know that the Rock Hill NAACP is with the police department because they're in the process of trying to. They are not trying to release the body cam video. The Rock Hill Police Department does not want to release the body cam video of the. I think it was the arrest or when they were going after these two individuals who were drug suspects. Am I correct? Yep. And so for that, so it is a big to-do down there in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And CJ and Jermaine, you can fill me in, but yes, it has been on the news a lot.
They beat some Negroes. How about that? Let's just cut to the chase about details. They beat some Negroes. They don't want to release the body cam. And so here's the police. Here's your litmus test. If the police ever say, "Hold on a second, we're about to release the body cam videos," they are confident they haven't done anything. Anytime they're like they hold it up and stuff, it is very, very sure they're like, "Woo, this looks bad. Woo, how are we gonna dress this up?" So for your question, Brian, about whether this is going to be a deterrent. No, not this one. Maybe a couple from this one when they go, oh no, they're serious about that, because this was more public pressure. This was only done because there was actual footage. You know, there are a lot of this stuff that's going on and not getting filmed, or if it is getting filmed, like that at Rock Hill, the video's being suppressed. And so, is it a deterrent? No, it's not a deterrent. Not at all.
You know what, Jermaine? To your point, it was also done because of the I think it was the mayor took it away from the police department and turned it over to the Attorney General Keith Ellison's team.
Yeah,
that's the only reason they even got prosecuted, because it's fair enough to assume that if he had let the city attorney try to proceed with it, they probably would have dropped all the charges.
Tucked it. He would have tucked it, and that's what I was trying to explain to my wife. There was a lot of it was a lot of accolades that I would give not only to the young teenager that had recorded the George Floyd case, but you also got to give credit to the mayor that moved very quickly on it, because that's what's not happening in Rock Hill. Right. And actually, we wouldn't even know anything about it. So not only is it being suppressed, but we would not have known anything about it if it wasn't for this young lady. Now, granted, she was emotional, and so she was trying to record, and the camera is shaky. But if it wasn't for her video and she released it on her own, and the camera that was across the gas station at the the camera that was at the gas station that was across the street from where the arrest was taking place, we would not know and see what happened. So initially, this is what happened so far. So due to our favorite protection of our highly esteemed police, the department will always side on the side of the police officers, right? Qualified immunity. And they're going to say our officers didn't do nothing wrong, but we'll look into it anyway. That was their initial statement, and that was their initial release. Well, when the powers that be, because I'm not quite sure, I couldn't follow the tape all the way through, but somehow the young lady video came out, and the video of the gas station came out. Mm-hmm. Well, now the police department is starting to backtrack. Now they're starting to be like, oh, well, wait a minute. Now we have, and see, they will never call their officers liars. You will never hear that. You will never hear that. What they'll say is, we have inconsistencies now, because now we're going back and looking at our police officers writing official statements, okay? Which if you and I did that, that's automatic jail time, okay? That's perjury and all of that. Falsifying documents, the whole nine. So, but since now the world sees what the police officers wrote, which is public record, versus what was released on in media world, oh, they're inconsistent. They will never ever say, oh, our police just flat out lied. Now we're trying to save face, and we really don't know. We really don't want another George Floyd type situation, because even though they didn't kill the brothers, and by the way, one brother is totally clean, totally innocent. And just like I promised, and just like I posted today about this very topic, I don't condone any criminal activity. Okay, I just don't. But at the same time,
I do.
I don't. I said
I've
I
been
don't.
stealing the hearts for years, CJ.
Huh?
I've been stealing the hearts for years.
Man, me too. Me too.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let me clean that up. Outside of being a smooth criminal,
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So all I'm saying here, guys, is that regardless of the crime itself, whether it's, unless it's violent, that's when things get shaky. But non-violent crimes, especially, does not deserve the Kunta Kinte beat down that this brother got. Two black eyes, broken nose, cracked lip. I mean, literally, you see the officers grinding his face in the ground with his forearm. And not in the ground, let me be more specific. On the street, on the pavement. And the woman herself, and I don't blame her, she's freaking out. Oh my God, he don't deserve this. And then the officers that jumped on the bigger brother, the dirty brother, even him, he didn't put up a fight, but they took him down like he took out 6-7 cops by alone. And then the one that was middle part of his body, he was the one that was just boom, boom, boom. I mean, lighting his stomach and midsection up, while the other guy, forearm to the face, to the ground. While the other officer is at his feet, holding him. He's laying on the ground. He ain't going nowhere. Then you had the K9 guy. He's letting the dog charge. And, and then right when he realized he was being recorded, then that's when you see him picks up his dog and he's kind of like holding him back. The other two officers are holding down the clean brother in the background. And clearly, they don't have any problem with him because they already done messed him up from roughing him up against the gas tank. So you got all this heavy force. I called it in my post escalated force. You got all this escalated force going on. And for what? Okay, so one brother is dirty, the other brother isn't. You could have arrested both of them, processed both of them, did your interview without anyone getting the beat down that these gentlemen got.
Yeah, but there's got to be a fringe benefit when you go to work, right? Like I don't know. Maybe your job, your boss brings donuts. Maybe there's a coffee machine. Maybe there's coupons and stuff that you get and stuff, or maybe you just get to beat a random black person's ass. But there's got to be something that brings you to work every morning and stuff. And so let me make a couple quick points because I know I want to keep the show short and stuff.
Oh yeah,
it happens. It happens all the time, right? Where people, I believe my employees, right? And we'll get back to my employees in a second, but everybody does that. I think of a young brother who got into an altercation and stuff, and he was honest with his employers and stuff, and his employers like, yeah, nothing happened and stuff. And it wasn't the public pressure because a video leaked out that some stuff was done to him and stuff. And I think it's unfair. And I really think that Ray Rice should be playing in the NFL right now. You know, maybe he went too far, but he was honest about the shit up front. And, you know, they had the body cam, they had the video and stuff. So it's just like police department. Everybody does it, right? Was the NFL, was the police and stuff like that. And also, when the police departments come out, yeah, they're not going to say anything because, like, when you get into a car accident, if you've ever been in a car accident, your insurance company will say, don't tell them that you're sorry, even if you think that you're at fault, because this is some lawyer type shit, right? So you have to understand that when departments and organizations make statements and stuff, they're not just talking from the heart and from the hip and stuff. They have been sanitized. They've been approved by their attorneys and stuff like that. So you're never going to get, oh, yeah, we fucked up, because that opens themselves up to civil suits and stuff, right? The last thing that I want to touch on briefly is that some people may not understand the consequence versus responsibility correlation that CJ was talking about, especially with the military and stuff. So one of the reasons that we're so hard on our airmen soldiers and stuff is that, like, the Air Force has nukes, not fucking around, like nukes. We own nukes. And so when we have members to get out of line and stuff, our public trust is higher than the public trust of the police stuff because they don't have fucking nukes. They don't have bombers that can take cities off the damn maps and stuff, but we do. So our level of public trust and responsibility is so much higher. So whenever you see something happen to airmen soldiers stuff, it's because we need you to understand that we ain't about that shit, and you can trust us with nukes.
Yeah, literally your life.
And so the problem with police officers, though, is that, and the other thing with the military is that with the DOJ controls everything for us, right? So there's a federal regulation that does, and when we talk about police, we're talking about state to state, county to county, municipal to municipal and stuff. And so all the different standards, like you say, the laws, and that's why I changed my, when we started talking about it, I thought about, I said, you know what, it's police work, right? It's not like the military where if I do a fence here in Charlotte versus Japan versus wherever stuff, it's all the same to them because they have total regard to how I'll be treated and stuff. Police officers, you got to understand, and we talk about laws, and again, I say, yeah, I think he got what he got because he did get those mitigating factors that we were talking about because of his position. Like, you know the law. Like, you should have been doing that. You violated public trust. You did it in front of minors and stuff like that. You get 22 years. In that way, I know you'll serve 15 years. Because if I'm giving you 15 years, you're probably only going to serve 7.
6 or 7.
Right.
6 or 7 and stuff. So when we think about that, when we use this critical law theory, whatever. When we use this and we apply that lens to what we got going on and stuff, if we're being objective and we're being real based on where he was, and again, your place where you are may have different laws and stuff, but understanding where he was, he got what was the equivalent of the book thrown at him. And so as I think about that, yeah, it doesn't seem fair because we always, as Black people, seem to find the loopholes where judges like, well, I know it's only 5 years, but I'll give you 20 because it was so egregious and stuff, you know, and so our aggression. But hey, look, if you've never seen the movie Birth of a Nation, because I'm just like I just feel like giving out more stuff. If you've never seen that movie stuff, Google that stuff, and they'll kind of explain to you why our shit's a little bit different when it comes to sentencing and the law. I am the law. But
I just read.
I'm sorry, wow. That was awful. That was awful, but don't worry. My Bill Cosby impression is going to be off the hook. I feel it. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me now. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. It's the police. The police have showed up. I've got to go. I've said too much. I've said too much.
You have, but as always, very informative from all of you. And yeah, I'm gonna wrap because I know I gotta get ready to wrap. But I thank y'all for coming in. You know, we just kind of wanted to really dig into the feeling versus what states are able to really do. And for the longest, we have to understand that this was the trial of Derek Chauvin murdering George Floyd. It has nothing to do with Ahmaud Arbery. Tamir Rice, Eric Gardner,
Yep.
countless names, Sandra Bland. It has nothing to do with all of that, but we carry a lot of that with us. Every time we hear of another officer taking the life of somebody that should still be here to this day, we carry that to the next day and to the next one after that. So a lot of times our feeling is that this isn't enough. And it's not that Chauvin wasn't enough, it's we haven't seen enough of this. But what we really are trying to say to you, racist, bigoted, motherfucking cops out there, we have had enough. One way or another, we are letting you know this is not going to happen too much more often. Okay? So that's the enough part is that we're done. And to CJ's earlier point is that now they're getting trapped over their own system now. The system is actually starting to bend just a little bit, not to where we want it, but that's where the activism has to keep going. That's where the marches have to keep on going, even well after the media has gone away and moved on to the next story. We have to continue that fight. And that goes back to why I say we have to be involved and invested in elections in our communities and everything else like that, so we have more and more representation. I will say again, Derek Chauvin got what he got because Keith Ellison tried this case instead of the local municipality. We wouldn't have been talking about Derek Chauvin being in jail at all. Now we've got 3 of his other fellow ex-officers that are coming up next. And we hope and pray that they end up getting the same amount of justice that needs to come to them so that the Floyd family can get some closure in this. We know every single time they have to keep opening that same wound up over and over and over, and watching his little girl talk about her dad. If that didn't bring you down, I don't know what kind of heart you have. But even me thinking about her talking about her dad and missing him, brushing her teeth and stuff like that, I couldn't even imagine my daughter's missing me like that. So I'm going to wrap it up. This has been another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. Let me thank my panel, Lori Parker, CJ Jones, Michael Berry, franchise, Mr. Jermaine Parker. We'll see y'all again next week. Y'all take care. And if you are not vaccinated, please wear a damn mask. See y'all.
And it's a ticket talking margin for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma.